This might be the smallest desktop computer so far. It's also Apple's latest product. The Mac Mini M4 just launched a month ago. It jumped from the old M2 model, skipped M3, and went straight to M4. It starts with 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is currently Apple's most cost-effective product. Whether it's the RAM or the upgraded chip, you can sense Apple's sincerity. Comparing two visually similar devices, the new M4 is literally half the size. The older M2 device had USB ports, but that changed to 5 Thunderbolt-style data/charging ports on the new one. The shape keeps getting smaller and smaller. The older model had a power button on the side. Now it's moved to the bottom's cooling vent. So every time you turn it on, you have to pick up the computer, a desktop machine you can hold in one hand. That's pretty tempting, to be honest, and the current price is nearly the same as the M2. So do you feel that? Last month the M2 was still being expanded. Now the M4 is here, making the M2 suddenly less appealing. So a lot of people are clamoring for this new machine. A model with 16 gigabytes RAM and a 256 gigabytes SSD, that's double what the older one had. And there's no price increase for that added capacity. Open up the bottom cover, which has a cable attached. Carefully detach it. You can see the cooling vent has expanded quite a bit from the older model, covering almost the entire underside. Remove every screw around the perimeter. Want to try doing it yourself? The metal cover can then be taken out. Inside this small machine, there's a giant fan. The fan is even bigger than the motherboard. Such a huge fan for such a tiny board should handle cooling quite well. Beneath it is the main board. The SSD is right on the surface, separate from the motherboard. The black metal cover is connected to the upper plate. Underneath the heatsink is likely the M4 CPU. The SSD is clipped onto the motherboard, detachable. This separation design presumably helps with heat dissipation. The small board's front and back each have 128 gigabytes of storage. The surrounding area is the power control chipset. Honestly, if these memory modules become available for sale, users could do expansions themselves, because with a simple clip design, it's easy to swap out if you have the skill. For such a small board, replacing the SSD is super simple and shouldn't be too risky. The board doesn't heat up much, a quick hot air blast, and the SSD pops right off. The SSD structure is the same as before, similar to the drives in the iPhone 14, 15, and 16, removing both SSDs, then flattening out the bottom corners of both housings. If you like this video, please send me some TikTok gifts. You can install two 1 terabyte SSDs. Some people watch quietly, but they secretly like, comment, share, repost, and follow. Such people are so sweet. After installing the SSDs, reseal them with protective glue. Insert the expanded storage modules back onto the motherboard. Now the device is outfitted with 2 terabytes of storage, but because it lacks any base system data, it won't boot yet. We have to reinstall it all. If you like this video, please send me some TikTok gifts. After reassembling, we need to reinstall macOS. Reactivate the device. This brand new Mac Mini M4 originally cost over 10,000 yuan if you opt for more storage. But with our do-it-yourself expansion to 16 gigabytes RAM and 2 terabytes SSD, it cost under 6,000 yuan total. That's half the price. Apple devices have always been known as expensive, but this tiny desktop is arguably the best bang for your buck from Apple. With such balanced performance and value, do you think it's worth it?